Melissa, and I'm from St Giles Church here in the city centre. So my question is, will you commit to maintaining and progressing the Disability Rights Task Force plan?
Thank you, and can we start with Kristina Renshaw, please?
Thank you. I also have personal experience of living with long-term health challenges, so I understand how important it is that support is not just available but actually accessible and responsive. And I recognise that disabilities are both visible and invisible. Too often people are left navigating systems that are overwhelming them when they're already struggling. I would want to ensure that any plan delivers real, practical improvements, reducing barriers, cutting delays, and making sure people are treated with dignity. That includes improving access to diagnostics and specialist care, where delays can have a real impact on people's quality of life. I'd also like to see more joined up and advanced approaches, including learning from effective treatments used elsewhere so people can receive the right support earlier and avoid unnecessary long-term strain on both themselves and the system. Because many people, this support isn't optional, it's essential to daily life.
Thank you, indeed. Corin, please, on script the Labour Party.
As a disabled person myself, I wouldn't be standing as a Labour candidate if I wasn't assured that Welsh Labour are committed to this plan and in doing all that they can to tackle inequality and barriers across the country. With my personal experience and how close the issue is to me, equality, equity and breaking down barriers is very high on my priorities list. It shapes everything that I do. And it's one of the main reasons I'm standing, for better representation of our neurodiverse and disabled communities and to make real improvements to their lived experiences. Our Welsh Labour government published our 10-year Disabilities People's Rights Plan. We commit to continuing a decade of action under Welsh Labour so disabled people can live, work, flourish as equal citizens by implementing the Disabled People's Rights Plan. Not only that, Welsh Labour will work with all devolved public bodies to achieve disability confidence leader status, working with the Disabled People's Employment Champions, and we will also develop a new learning disability and autism employment strategy, focusing on supporting people into employment through tailored job coaching and support for our employers. Issues in employment are things that I have personally experienced, and I know people that have experienced, and they're very close to my heart, so I would definitely be pushing on that one. Thank you.
Can we have Richard Marbrow from the Democrats, please?
We're just trying not to destroy your carefully arranged bits of paper. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the economic point again, because I think there's a huge thing about dignity and access to employment for people with disabilities, and I think that we undervalue that a lot of the time. If you look at particularly our benefit system, so it is designed entirely to get people off benefits. It's designed to absolutely crush people, whereas what it should be doing, particularly in the disability sphere, is being used to enable people to go back into work. And sometimes that'll actually cost you some money, but the benefits that it then generates are absolutely enormous, because for a start you're making a more talented workforce, you're making a more diverse workforce, you are making a workforce that is more able to sell to a wider range of communities. Therefore that is a very, very good thing indeed to do. And in the public sector, if you can get people into public sector employment, you are serving your communities better by being more like your communities. So our benefits system for people with disabilities should absolutely be being used to enable and empower, rather than just to purely support, or in its worst guises, to punish, effectively. And there are a series of disabilities in particular where you look at them and there's this constant reassessment. I'm like, some of these things are not going to get better. Somebody who is a wheelchair user is not suddenly going to get up and walk one day. Why on earth are you assessing that? Instead, turn around and go, how has the employment market moved on in the last 3 years since we last saw you? How can we now help you more? That's the sort of thing that we should be looking at. Instead, we focus so much on, what can we do to this person to squeeze something out of them? And I think that there needs to be a real focus on that. And the other thing is our social care provision needs to get so much more diverse and complex in order to deal with the actual lived experience that people has. So I don't have lived experience of this. I'm very aware that my knowledge comes from talking to other people, so I can certainly commit to doing that.
Diolch, thank you. Can I pass you over to Carrie Harper, Plaid, please?
Diolch eto. In terms of the answer to the question about maintaining and progressing the Disability Rights Task Force, the answer is absolutely yes, because those barriers for disabled people are still there, aren't they, in terms of accessing healthcare, housing, transport and all of those things. And the whole point of the task force is about making that lived experience central to the decision-making process, isn't it? I absolutely agree that that's the right approach. But I think where we do need to work and where we need to strengthen the approach is around delivery. I think you can have great strategies, and the idea of this is that you work with people at the coalface to understand where the barriers are and how you can address them, and that feeds into the strategies that you make. But if that strategy sits on a shelf gathering dust, it doesn't actually help anybody, does it? So I think that's where the focus needs to be going forward, is on making sure we're delivering those outcomes to actually improve people's quality of life.
Diolch, Carrie. And last but not least on this question, are you okay passing the mic, or should that's great.
We've got it down to a fine art.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Collaboration.
This is great entertainment.
Collaboration, that's what we like.
Diolch am a question. So, when I looked at the Disability Rights Task Force plan, the thing that really stuck out was nothing about us without us. You know, it's about people with disabilities, and what's the most important thing about people with disabilities is that they're people. It needs to be person-centred, and I'm going to use a term here that I dislike the term, but the sentiment is there, co-production. So you need to work with people, and it's also really important to me, this idea of the social model of disability, where it's not the people that are disabled, in inverted commas, it's society that disables them. So society must be something that is open and free and accessible to everyone, no matter what your abilities or not.